Welcome back! Fragrance Fiend here today. On my birthday, I bought myself a little gift, Xerjoff's Golden Mocha. Released in 2018, part of the Coffee Break collection. Today's review is somewhat of a first impression as well. It's literally been years since I smelt it, and it's just been ingrained in my mind since then. So it is actually an online exclusive to Xerjoff.com, however, a third-party Australian online retailer also has it for sale, so I got it there 20% off, due to the end of financial year sale, not sponsored. So let's crack it open. Incredible packaging as always. So can't believe I'm finally holding it. I've been wanting this one for so long. It's definitely one of my most favorite Xerjoffs. They are my favorite brand. I love so much what they do. So let's get into the note breakdown. In the top you have mandarin, lemon and blood orange, with a heart of rose absolute, incense, coffee, Cambodian oud and amber, lastly with a base of incense, green accord and labdanum. Definitely quite a hard cap to take off. Obviously quite weighty too, premium quality. Brilliant atomizer as always. Honestly, just nothing comes close to the quality of Xerjoff, the way they create their scents. It's just an outer-worldly experience. Like, how can they produce something like that in a bottle? So as I mentioned, it's a tiny bit of a first impression as well, since it's been about 2 years since I've last smelt it. Forgot to mention, it's also parfum extrait concentration as well, which is also why you're not getting any of that potent, piercing alcohol smell of the opening. It's just pure, lush fragrance. So in the opening, I'm definitely getting a ton of that blood orange. It's very sweet. The lemon is there only to give it a tiny bit of zest. Definitely dialed back. I wouldn't call it a citrus opening by any means. More of like the type of blood orange syrup you'd find in a cocktail. And with the mandarin note, you kind of get that zest from the skin. Now, even though it has rose absolute, it's really dialed back, which I'm quite thankful for. I like some roses, but anytime it's placed in a fragrance, it often overtakes it quite a bit. To the average nose, I doubt this would even be detectable. What you really get in that heart though, which is slowly starting to come out a tiny bit now, is definitely the coffee, which is just so warm and creamy. It's not your bitter coffee like the review I did on Halloween Man X. Coffee is one of my all-time favorite notes, but I probably hate more fragrances with the note of coffee than I do like them. But when it's done right like this, it's incredible. On top of that, you're also getting an overdose of the amber, which is blending beautifully with the coffee, really giving it a sweeter backing, but far from cloying or intoxicating. There's definitely minor hints of the oud, but I think that might come out a tiny bit later, we'll see. Then lastly, you've got that incense. More often than not, it's one of my least favorite notes in perfumery. Sometimes it's just way too spicy or intense. You can absolutely smell it in this, but it's like they've almost dissected that piercing element of the incense out and just kept the warm part. This one's definitely a hard one to describe, but you kind of have to think of it fourth dimensionally. Especially when it comes to the note breakdown, each note is built so different than how you would smell it in other fragrances. The part of the fragrance that really wins me over, as well as the coffee, is obviously the labdanum, a note I absolutely love, which gives it a tiny bit more of a resinous texture. Labdanum and amber are both a match made in heaven, and when you add coffee and blood orange to the mix, you get a perfect scent. So I've let half an hour pass. The coffee element is still as potent from the opening, as well as the incense and labdanum. The blood orange is gone, while the rest of the notes have kind of disappeared into the background. It definitely keeps its potency, however, it becomes a little softer in terms of the texture of the scent, not softer in terms of like projection or sillage. Weird analogy, but in the opening it kind of reminds you of like a very solid rock. It's intense, but as it dries down it becomes a little more of a cloud. It's soft, but still very visible or smellable, which is great when you don't want to choke others or yourself out, but still have a beautiful aroma, leaving a bit of a scent bubble around you. It's also a perfect unisex fragrance. It doesn't really lean too masculine or feminine, and it also defies age as well. I guess you could probably say that it's probably more appropriate for people in their early 20s plus, and definitely not an everyday scent or something you'd wear down to the shops. It's a lot more classier than that. It smells of sophistication yet fun at the same time. This one truly is personality in a bottle. So despite the price tag, this one is perfectly blind buy safe. I know it's a lot of money for what it is, but the quality is incredible. It does last, and you really do get what you're paying for in terms of performance, the sillage, the longevity, the quality of ingredients, and of course even the incredible packaging as well, where I like to keep them when I don't always want to keep them on display. But that goes with any Xerjoff. You know you're going to be paying for the best of the best. There's definitely been fragrances I've smelled before which do smell similar to this, but worlds away in terms of quality. The one thing that actually ties the Coffee Break collection together is the similarity of notes and how they've been constructed. Just to quickly break it up there, yes, it's my first day wearing it, and I pre-recorded myself saying multiple different hours to compensate over the fact of not wearing it over multiple days, so editing me has kept this one. With this one, I can definitely vouch for 10 hours of performance. Now that it's really beginning to dry down, the greenness is actually coming out a little more than I expected, but ever so mildly. That labdanum is definitely delivering a tiny bit more of that resinous texture, and that's about it for the actual transformation of the scent. I think I really have to say that this one is my most perfect purchase of the year. I absolutely love it. It's just simply a straight up 10 out of 10 scent. The complexity, the transformation, performance, and overall quality is just phenomenal. So order a sample from their website or just the full thing. I think you'll like it. But then again, this one does cross off all the notes I like in a fragrance, including that incredible coffee. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.